You're listening to the Careers BU podcast, a podcast aimed at Bournemouth University students and graduates. Each episode, we talk to employers, alumni and professionals all about their career journey, what employers are looking for, and help you explore the opportunities that are available to you. Hello and welcome to this episode. I'm Amanda Fripp, Careers Consultant at BU. Today I chat to Joseph Cooper, founder of Aspiron Search. Joseph is a BU alumni who worked in the recruitment industry for a number of years before going on to set up his own company, specialising in the cybersecurity industry. In this episode, Joe talks all about his career journey, what it's like to work in the recruitment industry, and tips for breaking into the sector. Hi Joe, welcome to the podcast. Can you just introduce yourself and your role a bit, please?
Hello. Hi, Amanda. Good to see you again. Cool. So I'm Joseph Cooper. I am the co-founder of a company called Aspiron Search. We are a niche cybersecurity focused search firm. We're headquartered out of Bournemouth town centre, and our geographic focus on staffing is actually the US. So although geographically focused and based here, we basically place candidates in the US for various companies, which I'll tell you more about throughout the podcast, I guess.
Cool. Okay. And you're a BU alumni.
Exactly.
So,
I'll give you a bit of a background.
Cool.
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, it was almost 10 years ago to the date that I studied at Bournemouth University. So I am from Kent originally, you probably guessed from the Cockney accent. So came to Bournemouth Uni 2011 and spent 3 years here studying finance and economics. At that point, to be honest, probably thought I was going to be some sort of oil tycoon or stockbroker as doing that sort of course. But I did an internship at Shell, and when I was doing that internship, I pretty realised that wasn't going to be a career that I wanted to pursue. And I guess the main reason for that was that I walked onto a floor and of probably a couple of hundred folks, and it was just dead silent. So for me, it just didn't match what I was looking for. So at the time that I was at university, I was actually doing what we at that point were known as seasons. So I spent 4 summers abroad. So I did university in the winter, and then I went to Greece for 4 summers. And whilst I was out in Greece, there was a young lady that I met, and she worked in recruitment. And she said, look, you need to get into recruitment when you get back to the UK. And it wasn't an industry or a field I'd thought about at all. So long behold, got back to the UK, was at a loose end, didn't know what I was going to do from a career perspective, put my resume up on like Indeed and the various other platforms there were. And I got a call. And it was a recruitment agency. And they said, look, we've seen your resume and we think that you could be a good fit for a recruitment consultant role. And I was like, that's so bizarre. But I had a chat with someone a few weeks ago saying that this could be a career for me. So went up to London for the interview, wore my dad's suit as I didn't have a suit. So that was quite interesting, turning up for a job interview wearing my dad's suit. And essentially, long story short, spent the day up there. They then invited me back the next day. I think I had to borrow like 40 quid from my dad as well, which was quite funny to then say, look, I've got your suit and a bit of money. So I went back up to London and then they offered me the job. I know a bit of a long-winded story, but that's how I sort of fell into recruitment. And it's really interesting because the recruitment industry is renowned for people falling into it. There doesn't seem to be like a university degree of like recruitment. There are HR degrees, but HR is very different to agency side recruitment, which is what I do right now. So I've spent the last 10 years doing cybersecurity as a subject matter. And my first 6.5 years, so upon leaving university, landed this job at my previous company. They were called Radley James. They then, after a year, we created a new company called Iceberg, which was going to be solely focused on cyber. And because I liked doing cyber for the year I was with Radley James, they said, would you want to be part of this new company we're spinning? And I was like, yeah, great. And I stayed there for another 5.5 years. So I spent 6.5 years at Radley James / Iceberg, and then I decided that time was time. I wanted more flexibility, I wanted some more financial freedom, and I wanted some career progression. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to just give this a shot for myself. It was an interesting time as well because I'd spent 6.5 years going into London, and obviously the dreaded word of COVID came about, and everyone was working from home. And I just thought, you know what, I could do this for myself. So yeah, we me and my business partner Ollie, we decided to found Aspiron Search, and so for the last 3.5 years we've been grinding, hustling, startup mode, as you can imagine. And yeah, as I say, we now headquartered in Bournemouth. Ollie also relocated from London down here, and we're now building a business in Bournemouth town centre. So yeah, a bit of a long story as to my career since leaving university, but yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Yeah, excellent. Just for anyone who's listening, who you call it like a search company or recruitment consultancy. So, because I do see students who they don't know what recruitment consultancies are. So what could you explain what a recruitment consultancy does?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, a recruitment agency, recruitment company, like search firm, there's lots of different terminologies for it. But essentially, we act as like a broker. So what we'll do is we could work with, for example, Deutsche Bank or Morgan Stanley. They will be our clients, and Morgan Stanley will ring me and say, "Hey, Joseph, we're looking for a cybersecurity engineer, and we'd like you to then find that person for us," because one, they don't have the time, the resources, etc. So my job at that point is to essentially reach out to every single cybersecurity engineer that I can find in the market, and we do that through various different methods and channels. So there's a platform called LinkedIn. A big bit of advice I'd give for anyone at the university right now is to get a LinkedIn set up straight away. It is an absolute powerful platform. Like, you can start building relationships with industry experts whilst you're at university, and you'll also learn more about the subject matter in real life rather than theoretical purposes. So one of the biggest things, is absolutely, for any students listening, get on LinkedIn, start networking with folks in the industry that you're potentially thinking about entering, whether it's law, agriculture, whatever. LinkedIn, a lot of people be on there sharing content and insights and things like that. So we use platforms like LinkedIn, and we'll run what we call searches. So we basically identify the skill set of the cybersecurity engineer that Morgan Stanley want, and we will map out the entire talent pool that we identify within those parameters, and essentially reach out to every single one of them. A lot of it is phone-based, email, and like cold calling, essentially. So cold calling folks saying, "Hey, I've got your resume on this platform, think you could be great for this job at Morgan Stanley." And what we do is we have what we call a screening call, or a candidate call, and you'll find out all of the different motivations for that particular candidate to move, and what their expectations are for a move. So, for example, Morgan Stanley might offer remote employment, whereas they work at the Bank of America, which is in an office, and maybe they've got kids and they want to be working from home a bit more. So an offer at Morgan Stanley could be quite lucrative for them. And so, we essentially match their employment expectation with the companies we work with. So that's the role of a recruiter, is screening candidates that they've identified that potentially match the clients, and a recruiter will ultimately be paid a fee, which is where the brokering part comes in, typically a percentage fee of the candidate base salary. And then obviously, if you're a recruitment consultant, you will earn commission based on that fee number that you've presented to your company. So that's, in a real nutshell, what the role of a recruitment consultant would be. There's obviously a lot more delicacies and intricacies, like business development and things like that, but that's probably a whole episode of a podcast in itself.
No, that gives a really great summary. And obviously some recruitment agencies cover a number of different industries. Some cover potentially quite a few, but you are specifically cybersecurity. So
absolutely,
what kind of prompted you to set up a company that just solely focuses on cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I went into my first role with Radley James, it was a technology recruitment business. So as you say, there's various different domains. So some of my friends do medical, pharmaceutical. There's even construction, which is like placing like site managers and bricklayers and stuff like that. But technology seems to be a popular one. And so again, fell into technology as a subject at Radley James, but I got a few searches that were like cybersecurity analysts and things like that, and I was really fascinated by the industry. Like, it's a growing industry at this point. It's 10 years ago when I got into it, and it was all hitting the news that certain companies have been hacked. And it reminds me of AI right now. Like, AI
Mhm.
is going to be the next big industry from a staffing perspective. And yeah, I was fascinated by the whole crime part of it, and just learning it's a $200 billion industry. Like, there's stuff from car hacking to aeroplane hacking to more what I call boring stuff, which is more like governance, risk compliance, and keeping the regulators away from any of the customers we work with. But the industry is fascinating. So that's one thing I would say is, like, if you do consider yourself as potentially a candidate to get into recruitment, is find an industry that you're interested in and passionate about. Like I say, green technology, AI, and cyber are probably the three hottest markets right now in terms of where companies need talent. But there are a ton of recruitment companies. Like, even in Bournemouth alone, there's like a yacht chartering recruitment company where they find folks for billionaires that need staff for their super yachts. So that must be a cool, fun industry. But yeah, I found my love for cyber. And yeah, look, 10 years in now, and I don't see myself shifting gears. I think what is a good idea though for anyone is to really like niche down. Like,
Mhm.
technology is great because it is a niche, but within technology, you've got various different things like software engineering, which is people like cutting code. You've then got like infrastructure, the people that are building the actual computer systems and the networks and the infrastructure. And then you've got like cyber. So there's various different domains within tech as a subject. So niching down can just be really it's really lucrative because you become a subject matter expert in your field and a consultant to your clients.
Mhm. Mhm. That's really interesting. And why America? Why is you just working with companies in America?
Yeah. So interestingly, so when I first got into recruitment, it was very much UK and EMEA as a focus. And then the last couple of years I was at my previous company, I landed a client, National Grid, who a few folks might know in the FTSE 100, and they were building out a security team in Massachusetts, in a place called Waltham, which is in the middle of nowhere. So it was quite difficult to find people that were in the local proximity. And ultimately, the US market is one third of the entire global staffing market. Um, so in the US, there are more candidates, there's more clients, and most interestingly, the fees are a lot higher. Um, so the salaries in the US can be up to 2 to 3 times higher than those in the UK. And as our commission is based on a percentage of base salary, as you can do the maths, it makes complete sense to focus on the US market from the UK. Obviously, it has its challenges. So obviously the hours we work are slightly different. So we typically kick off our day like 10, 11, and then ultimately you pass out and go to bed when your day finishes. So the hours can be slightly unsociable from a US perspective,
Mhm.
but it's the sacrifice you pay from the actual earning potential, because recruitment is an extremely lucrative sales role for high earning potential. Like, you can absolutely earn over 100K within your first 2-3 years of doing recruitment.
Wow. Okay. So those were kind of the incentives of working in
Absolutely.
America, but like you said, there's some challenges around it. So tell me a little bit more about becoming a recruitment consultant. And you mentioned it's a very sales job.
Yeah.
So it's good for kind of students to be aware of that. And for some students, they're going to maybe love that and think that's really for them. And obviously, everyone is different. So can you tell me about how would a student get in, or a graduate
Yeah.
get into recruitment consultancy, and what
Yeah,
skills they'd need?
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, recruitment isn't for everyone. So it is, if you are somebody that is sociable, enjoys meeting new people, enjoys networking, um, it can potentially be a career for you. I think if you have those sort of attributes or that initial skill set, then definitely consider a role in recruitment. So if you enjoy speaking to people, you're sociable, and you have the drive and hunger to earn a lot of money, I think that's probably one of the biggest factors. Like, some people aren't so inclined to earn a lot of money. They may be more mission driven, where they want to work with young children and do other bits and pieces like that, or work in the healthcare system or something like that. So sales isn't for everyone, but I think just in general, like, if you are extremely ambitious and have a real drive and desire to have the financial freedom that you want in life, to be able to do whatever you want, and honestly, like, a career in recruitment can change your life. So yeah, I think there's an element of intelligence. So a lot of the folks on the university will naturally be intelligent. So I'm a big advocate for hiring folks that are graduate level and have had the intuition to go to university and at least follow a career path that they potentially might think about. But yeah, you absolutely need to be curious. There's so many different traits of what a great recruiter looks like. But and I'd be happy to chat with anybody that's considering a career in recruitment to see if it might be right for them. Like, I'm sure you'll put my contact details in the show notes, or they can come down and meet me for a coffee. Like, we're in Bournemouth Town Centre, like I say, we've got a big office space here. The environment's great. Like, I'm actually got a ping pong table I'm looking at right now, and I've probably not lost a game yet. So if anyone wants a challenge on that, then feel free to reach out and we can have a game of ping pong whilst we discuss it.
I think that's a great offer for students to, just be inquisitive, go and chat and find out about these opportunities.
Absolutely.
Is really, really great. So can they just, as a graduate, you can go in, do you become like a trainee recruitment consultant?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a career. Yeah, absolutely. So somebody that like considering a career in recruitment and wants to potentially can take that route. So obviously, I'll just can go on out and how we would do it. So we would obviously onboard somebody, and within that onboarding, you go through what we call the Aspiron Academy. So for at least a 3-month period, you start as a researcher, which is essentially learning the fundamentals of recruitment. We provide a lot of the materials. So there's a great book called The Rich Recruiter that I actually give to anyone that I want to offer before they leave. I say, please read this book and then come back to me and we'll talk about the book. And if they enjoyed because you need to understand what you're walking into. It isn't something you can just be like, oh, I'll give it a go. I feel like if you do your research, then you'll actually consider it as a career opportunity and option. So you'll start as a researcher. Typically that will be like a 3-month period, and then you'll be promoted into a recruitment consultant, which is more of a full life cycle role. So a researcher is essentially somebody that's speaking to candidates all day, every day, doesn't do much on the client side. So earlier I mentioned about Morgan Stanley. You probably wouldn't talk to Morgan Stanley at this point. However, once you then become a recruitment consultant, you are then actually then having the other side of it, where you're dealing with clients and candidates. So you're in a more of a what you call a 360 role. So then from a consultant, you go to senior, principal, director, and then hopefully a business owner, which is what I've obviously gone on to. Because it is all in your reach. Like, to set up a recruitment company, I doubt it would be good going if somebody was to leave university and set up a recruitment company straight away with no experience. But the barriers to entry of launching and starting a recruitment company are pretty low. It doesn't require a lot of capital. It's essentially a laptop and a phone and a bit of technology that we use, like LinkedIn platforms and stuff like that. So yeah, after a few years of learning your craft, doubling down on your niche like cyber, essentially you would be prepared and you'd be trained well enough to potentially explore being your own business owner for sure.
Cool. So it's a kind of quite a nice career path, really, and then you've got those
Absolutely.
opportunities. In terms of how a student or graduate could stand out when applying to jobs like this, what sort of experiences and skills could they be developing whilst they're at university that you kind of go, oh, that's interesting, that like makes that person appealing?
Yeah, so we've had some really good success hiring folks that actually do whilst they're at university, they will go and do like charitable door knocking, where you'll knock at a door and say, trying to get donations essentially for different charities. So that's one avenue we've had. And if anyone's had any like face-to-face customer service, face-to-face or customer service on the telephone experience. So if anyone at the university is like works on the weekend at an estate agent's, or works in a call center, picking up the phone, speaking to people, has good communication skills, that's probably the number one. If you've got good communication skills, that's one trait that I would really be honing in on, is the communication side of it. And if you can communicate effectively, that would be a skill set that we're looking for sure. So anyone that's at university, maybe even if they don't have a job or a part-time job, think about getting one. Like, I know it's tough and even tougher now, but even if they was to call me and ask for an internship, why not? Like, this is the initiative you want to be having, is around test your luck, call companies, see if they're interested in somebody, even if it's for a couple of days, a few hours after work or whatever. Any experience you can get, even if it's like I did the internship whilst I was at university at Shell. I just then realized that wasn't a career for me. But ultimately, it's difficult to separate yourself at university when you're with a group of 80 other people in your lecture hall. So think outside the box, and just try and get some experience, even if it's family members or relatives. But if you get onto LinkedIn and start networking with local business owners or local hiring managers, people that are looking for or have businesses, there will be opportunities for you. But hot communication, anyone that's on the phones would be great, or anyone that's like worked in phone shops is another interesting one, like people that have worked because they're dealing with customers, right? So it's the same as the sociable communications.
And there's that sales kind of element to it as well,
Yeah.
and getting the targets. And so it ties in nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. So there's quite a lot of opportunities that they can do, whether it's customer facing jobs, sales jobs, even like you said, those charity fundraisers that go door to door, which is quite a tough gig, isn't it?
Really tough.
You've got to be pretty resilient to do something
100%.
like that. So those skills, those experiences, they can, add to their CV, bring to an interview, and talk about that, and that would impress yourself, other employers. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Or they can go and do a season like I did and sell tickets to people on the strip and on the beach. And
is that what you did?
100%. That's what I would be looking for if somebody's got any of that sales experience, because pulling up to tourists and selling tickets for parties is a tough gig. So anyone that's done that, I'd be interested in chatting to as well.
Okay, cool. That's really great. Another great tip. Okay, cool. So tell me, because obviously you set up the company, but you also set up Aspiron Ventures.
Yep.
So and then you've got a podcast as well. So you're doing, a lot of fingers in different pies.
It's really odd being the other side of the fence today. I must admit, I normally just ask the questions, but I can do the talking now. I should have got a glass of water with me, because I'm sort of thinking my throat's getting itchy.
Oh, no.
We're all good. So we've got the ventures business.
Yeah. So tell me, what's the ventures business then?
I, a couple of months ago, launched Aspiron Ventures. So Aspiron Ventures complements Aspiron Search very well. So Aspiron Ventures, we work with a lot of venture capital companies, and we help their security company portfolio companies with hiring. And we decided that what we were going to do is essentially start putting angel investments into cybersecurity startups, because what we can then do is we will inject some capital into these early stage cybersecurity companies and help them with growing. But we can also help them with the hiring aspect of things, so we can help them find people. So the two like Aspiron Ventures and Aspiron Search complement each other really well. And then we've got Aspiron Media. We call it CyberBytes, our channel. So anyone that's interested in cybersecurity or a career in cyber in general, or even a career in recruitment and maybe cyber as a subject matter, get on the channel and have a little listen to the sort of conversations we're having. So I'm pretty confident you'll find. So there's like one that went out last week was around deep fakes and around how the effect of deep fakes and disinformation across the world, because it's absolutely incredible what the computers and AI is able to make now, where it may be impersonating Donald Trump, for example, and it really is difficult to understand what's true and what's fake. So that's an industry that's going to be really booming, is the whole deep fake thing. Maybe someone will create a deep fake about after this podcast with me on there, but it's incredible what you can do with your voice nowadays. So yeah, we've got the media part of the company, which and another thing, working in recruitment, if you enjoy traveling, like I've traveled the world with my company and with my previous company, from Copenhagen, Dubai, US, France, Germany, like all sorts of different countries, and Netherlands, like purely because we have clients in those locations, and we help, and to build the relationships, you need to travel. Like, so we go on at least 3 to 4 trips to the US a year, and there are large cybersecurity conferences. One is called RSA, the other one is called Black Hat in the US, and then Israel is really popular. Israel has the second largest cybersecurity, is the second largest cybersecurity market in the world. We'll be back out to Tel Aviv in June, particularly now with the ceasefire, which is great news for everybody. We'll be back out there for Cyber Week. The travel aspect of recruitment, I didn't even get onto that, but that's another perk of the business. So Black Hat, for example, is in Las Vegas. RSA is in San Francisco. We go to New York, Florida, Washington, Massachusetts, you name it, because we have customers worldwide, globally. Yeah, we've obviously got the podcast, and then we've also got a newsletter as well. And essentially what the podcast and the newsletter do for our clients is it's another value add for Aspiron Search. So we promote our customers on our newsletter, we promote them on our podcast. And being recruiters, I think I've got over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. Obviously, I don't know every single one of them, but you become a bit of like an influencer, if that's what you want to say. And our reach, and it's incredible. Like when you go to conferences and people actually stop you and be like, "Oh, you're the guy with the podcast. You're the Brit with the podcast." Like, yeah.
That's really helped. I guess that's helped grow your business then.
Massively. It's been absolutely game changer for our company. It obviously was a massive discomfort doing it, like probably even like today is being the other side of the fence. But once you get over that sort of initial fear of doing a podcast, it just becomes natural, and they're really enjoyable. Like you meet people from all around the world, and they're really senior people. You're dealing with CEOs that have sold companies for like over $1 billion to other companies, and hundreds of millions. So you speak to really great people, and that's how the three sort of business arms that we've got complement each other. But Aspiron Search is our core company, which is the staff and search business.
And I would recommend, like you said, anyone who's interested in cybersecurity as well to take a listen to your podcast, because
100%.
it's really interesting. Had a listen.
Absolutely. And easy to follow as well, like because I'm not a cybersecurity expert, like I'm not a tech wizard, I've not done computer science, I understand the jargon slightly, but it puts the podcast puts it into layman terms, where somebody that has no idea of what cybersecurity is can understand the different parts of cyber. So absolutely would recommend anyone to jump on the podcast. It's called CyberBytes, the podcast. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes, Amanda.
Yeah, I will, definitely. So what's next for the future? Will you ever recruit and work with employers in the UK? Is that an option? Or are you looking at what else? What else is kind of going on?
Yeah, interesting question. So we've just kicked off we had our sales kickoff at the Nicky in Bournemouth, the hotel there. And we were talking about like 2025 plans and growth over the next 3 to 5 years. And I think for us, we'll be doubling down on our US focus. Who knows if we'll get an office in the US? That would be an interesting proposition, as one of us or a couple of us may potentially go out to the States. But we will absolutely be growing as a company. We're looking for entry-level recruiters that we can train and build into senior principal consultants over the years. And we're just going to be having a good time. Like we do a lot of fun stuff as well. Like we're slightly different to other recruitment companies out there, where it's just very much you're in the office, and although it's a sales environment, you're on the phones all day. Like we do stuff like gym sessions together and beach walks, and we've done wellness retreats as a team where we've done breath work and various other bits like that. So I can probably share like a careers e-brochure with you that we've created, and that will go into the show notes as well. But from a future perspective, we're going to be growing out of our Bournemouth office. So anyone that's interested in a career in recruitment, and in particular cybersecurity as a subject matter, they can reach out. And look, it's a tough one to call, but we'll probably go for a liquidity event at some point where we'll essentially either be acquired by another larger recruitment company, or we'll sell to a private equity company. So long term, that would be the goal. And then we can all just go and retire on the beach somewhere.
But not for a while. Keep going for a bit.
No, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's been really interesting. You've definitely given some really great tips to our students and grads for getting into recruitment consultancy, and given a great overview of what that involves as well. Because I think sometimes we just don't know what actually do you do in these sort of jobs. So thanks so much for all your information. Any last final tips?
Do you know what? Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been an interesting experience being this side of the mic, like I say. The only tip the biggest bit of advice I wish I had got whilst I was at university was actually leveraging LinkedIn. So I had a notification come up to say that I had been on LinkedIn for like 14 years or something, but I only started using it when I got into recruitment. And just simply network with folks in your industry. So you can type in company names and you can follow the companies. You can see what they're pushing out from a content perspective. You can listen to their podcasts. You can read their magazines, their reports. Just start learning about the industry that you're interested in. But then going one step further, like actually connecting with, if it's the CEO of like Coca-Cola, you may not get a connection request. But if it's somebody that works for Coca-Cola in Bournemouth, they're likely to connect, because you can actually leave a message as well saying, hey, I'm interested in this company. I'd love to connect, and just stay in touch. Leverage LinkedIn, network as hard as possible, be as curious as possible. And you just got to find something you enjoy. And if you enjoy it, you're going to have a good career.
Brilliant. I think that ends it on a really great note. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Amanda.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening today. Please remember to subscribe and follow so you can keep up to date with all new episodes.